Hello, my name's Leah. I'm the Senior Advisor at Norfolk SEND35 and I'm going to do a video about filling in and completing the SEND35 form, which is the form that you need to complete to lodge an appeal with the SEND Tribunal. So I'm going to take you through the SEND35 form step by step. So first we're looking at section 1. This is where you either tick to say that the appeal is about a child or a young person, or whether it is about a young person aged 16 to 25. Then you go on to fill in the child or the young person's surname, first name, gender and date of birth. So section 2 is about what you are appealing against. So you need to tick the boxes that apply from the first section and the second section, and you can of course tick more than one box. So for example, let's say that you have had a final EHCP following the needs assessment, but you are unhappy with the special educational needs, the special educational provision and the educational placement, so sections B, F and I. You would select that the local authority have issued a final EHCP following a needs assessment, and you disagree with sections B, and you disagree with sections F, and you disagree with section I. So this part here is still section 2, but it only needs to be filled in if you are appealing section I of the plan. So if you're appealing section I of the plan, you need to pop the name of the school, college or institution that you would like named here, and then the address here and the postcode here. What you also need to do is you need to confirm that you have contacted that place of learning about your child or young person attending there and informed them that you are thinking of appealing for a place at their place of learning. That can look like an email, and then that response would be included within the form. This is just a quick example of what you could pop in that box to say that you have actually contacted the place of learning. You could put something like, I have emailed Poppyfield School on Friday the 1st of March 2024 to inform them I was appealing for a place for my child. The school replied by email to say they could meet my child's needs and feel the cohort of pupils within the school have similar needs to my child. You can then state that you have attached a copy of the email and a copy of the school's response within the appeal forms. So if you know what place of learning you would like your child or young person to attend, you have now filled in the name, the address, postcode and the response from that place of learning when you have informed them that you are appealing. If you do not know what place of learning you would like your child or young person to attend, but you do know the type of school, college or institution that you would like named, then you can go ahead and you can just put a type of placement here in this box. It might be, for example, that you still would like to go and look around the different specialist settings, so actually at this time you can't make an informed decision with a specific placement. Then you can go on to this box here and tick if either apply to you that you are unhappy with what the Educational Health and Care Plan says about the health or social care needs of your child or young person. So next is section 3 of the SEND35 form, and because this form is used for lots and lots of different types of appeal, it's not necessary for you to fill in all of the sections here, but only the ones that are relevant to your appeal. Having said that, all appeals must fill in this first box of I am bringing the appeal because. This is often the box that takes the most time and the most thought, but here are some general rules that we would always say. Do keep your reasons short and relevant and to the point. Always refer to any evidence that supports your appeal and your reasons for the appeal. Number your paragraphs or organise them under headings. Separate your points into paragraphs or use bullet points, and always look at the reasons the local authority have given in their letter. Don't go into history that is not relevant to your appeal. We understand that sometimes there may be a complaint running alongside an appeal, or there may be instances where parents or carers or young people have issues outstanding with the local authority, but that won't be relevant to your appeal. It needs to be really factual as to why you are lodging appeal against those sections of your EHCP. Because often in these boxes you have to write a lot of information, sometimes it might not fit in, and that is absolutely fine. And what you can do in any of these boxes is write in there, please see attached sheet. And then when you do go on to another sheet and write your information, that's what I was referring to make sure that you have headed each paragraph, it's laid out in either bullet points or paragraphs, and that it is clearly labelled at the top that it is a section 3 reason for appeal sheet, and then list your appeal reasons underneath that. So this is an example of how it can be set out. So this is the reasons for appeal, section 3. It states what child is it about and their date of birth. And it says, I disagree with the school named in section I, as it cannot meet my son's special educational needs. And reason 1, lack of training and understanding of autism. The educational psychologist report states that Joe should be taught by staff with experience, training and expertise in teaching pupils with autism. So they've linked it there to a report that can also then be submitted as part of the evidence. And then they go on to say, the staff at the school the local authority have named have been on a one-day training course supporting pupils with autism. The school we wish to be named is an autism-specific school where all the staff are trained and have experience working with pupils with autism. So you have done that box now that all appeals need to complete, and if you are appealing sections B and or F, then you need to fill in these boxes here. Like I say, not all boxes on this form will be relevant as it is used for so many different appeals, but if you are appealing section B and or F, those boxes also need to be filled in. So here's another example, and this example covers if you're appealing section F of the plan, so the special educational provision. And again, it states section 3, my reasons for appeal. It states the child's name and their date of birth, and states I disagree with the special educational provision named in section F. Reason 1, one-to-one learning support required. The educational psychologist report states that to reach his full potential, Joe needs one-to-one adult support. It again links it to the educational psychologist report dated the 1st of January to say see section A of that report, and goes on to say the local authority have not amended the plan following the annual review to add this into section F. So we're still on section 3 here, so you can see why I say that it's the section that takes the most time and energy and input. But again, in any of these boxes, you can say, please see attached sheet if the evidence and the things you have to say don't fit within the boxes. But again, you go through, and if you're appealing section I, you write in there why you prefer your choice and why you disagree with the local authority's choice, and things that the local authority have not considered. But again, all of these boxes may not be relevant. These bottom two will only be relevant if you're appealing section I, and that top box will be relevant with regards to anything you feel the local authority have not considered. The next section is section 4, and this section is about appealing the sections for health and social care within the EHCP. I'll go into them in more detail on the next slide, the boxes, but I will just quickly talk about the extended powers. So basically, the extended powers mean that the SEND tribunal are able to make recommendations regarding the sections of health and social care within the EHCP, alongside appeals about the health or social care elements within the EHCP. There must already be an appeal for B or F or I, or a mixture of those sections. So the health and social care elements cannot be appealed on their own, but they can be appealed alongside B and F or I, and then recommendations can be made by the tribunal. So apart from the difference of the SEND tribunal only making recommendation with regards to health and social care, the filling in of the form is much the same. So you can go on to this section if you are appealing sections C and G, so the health need and the health provision. You fill in the form much the same, so you talk about the reasons you disagree with those sections, and you talk about what you would like the tribunal to recommend. If you are not appealing the health section, please skip these boxes. It's worth noting at this point that any healthcare provision that educates or trains a child is seen as special educational provision in law, and therefore it should be in section F of the EHCP. A really common example of this is speech and language therapy provision. Of course, this is health provision, but it does also educate and train that child or young person. And again, here we talk about the social care needs. So this is still section 4, but if you wish to make any appeal against the social care needs in section D or the social care provision in section H, then again you fill in these boxes. If you are not making appeals about the social care provision or the social care need in the EHCP, then there is no need to fill these boxes in. So section 5 of the SEND35 form, here we talk about the local authority that you are appealing against. So in this first box here, you must fill in the local authority that you are appealing against, and that would be Norfolk County Council. And here you need to write the date of the decision letter from the local authority. So that will be the decision following them issuing a final EHCP or the decision following an annual review. And then this section here is about late appeals or if there is no mediation certificate. So you are able to try and lodge a late appeal outside the 2-month window. But if you do so, you have to fill in this part here to say that you are making your appeal late and explain the reasons why. So that reason may be something about your personal circumstance that has meant you can't do it before the 2-month window. It may be something like you have been waiting to talk to a service such as Norfolk SEND35 for advice before you lodge the appeal. But if you are outside that 2-month window, that is what you need to do. There is no guarantee that the SEND Tribunal will accept your late appeal, but you can absolutely try it and put your reasons why here. The same for a mediation certificate. If you have good reason why you do not have a mediation certificate but you wish to move forward and lodge an appeal, you can tick this box here and again fill in this box here with your reasons why. So section 5 on the previous slide asks you for the date of the decision made by the local authority. I thought it might be helpful just to pop up some examples of the decision letters you may receive from the Norfolk County Council. The left-hand side example here is of when an annual review was held, but the local authority decided to maintain the plan. And the right-hand side is a letter whereby the assessment has taken place and they're informing you that a final has been issued following the draft process. As you can see on both letters, there is a date at the top, and that is the date that you would put in section 5 of the SEND35 form. So section 6 talks about who is making the appeal. So you just need to fill in if you're the parent or carer of a child under the age of 16, you will just need to tick this box here. If you're the young person and you're making the appeal yourself and you're aged 16 to 25, you would tick the box here. And if there is an alternative person making an appeal in the best interest of a young person who lacks the mental capacity to do so, to lodge that appeal themselves, and that's usually a parent or carer, you would tick the box here. And then you just go on to fill in the details of the first person making the appeal. So that's just your title, surname, first name, explaining the relationship to the child or young person that you have, and the home address, postcode and phone numbers. And also, as you can see there, you have to fill in your email address. Make sure this is correct because the email address you use on this paperwork is going to be the way that the SEND Tribunal contact you throughout the tribunal process. Section B of section 6 is just to fill in if there's a second person making the appeal. So if there's two people who have parental responsibility for the child or young person, then you can fill in the details of that second person in this section here, just the same as before. All of the details are the same, and obviously not forgetting to check your email address and check that's correct, because like I said in the previous slide, that is how they're going to be corresponding with you throughout. Section 7 is all about who else is involved in the appeal. So this is if anybody else is involved who is not named in section 6. If any other person or organisation shares parental responsibility for the child or has been appointed as a deputy by the Court of Protection for a young person, you need to give their name and details in this box here, in this first box. And if you believe that they should not receive the details of appeal, then you need to explain why in this box here. If neither of those boxes are relevant to you, then please just leave them blank. If there is any other court or tribunal that has an order concerning the child or young person, including the family court, you must provide the details in the box here, the third box. Again, if this doesn't apply, then please just leave it blank. This next part of section 7 talks about your advocate. So if you are a young person making an appeal, or you are a parent who has your own needs, meaning you may need an advocate, that is where you can fill in the details of that person here. What we mean by an advocate is that you're getting support from another person to help you express your views and wishes and help you understand and exercise your rights. If a parent or carer or young person is unable to do this, then that's when they could have an advocate to help them support them through the tribunal service. For a young person, it's likely to be a friend or a family member, and for a parent and carer who have their own needs, it can be somebody like a caseworker from Norfolk SEND35, one of our advisors, or it can be another person just to be there to make sure that your wishes are heard. It's got to be someone who understands the situation and knows your views on them so that they can help you get those views across during the process. So if you do feel you need an advocate for the tribunal process, this is where you fill in that person's details. Again, making sure that the email address is correct, because it will be the way that the tribunal service contact this person. If you don't need an advocate for the process of the tribunal, please just skip this section. The last slide of a representative is someone who will give advice on the issues in the appeal. They will prepare the paperwork and they will represent the person making the appeal at the tribunal. They can also be an advocate. That person could be a volunteer from a charity, a paid representative, or a solicitor or a barrister. It's worth noting that most tribunals that are lodged do not have a representative. They don't have legal representation of any kind, and it's normally just the parent carer doing it with support, either a friend, family member, or an advocate. But if you do go ahead and have a representative throughout the tribunal process, you would tick yes in this box here, and then you would fill in their details below, again making sure their email address is correct, because it will be the way the tribunal are contacting them. And then just to clarify at the bottom here where you want the papers and documents sent to. So if you have a paid representative, it's likely to be that they deal with the paperwork and just keep you informed. But if you are a parent doing it without that, you can tick the box for yourself to receive the paperwork, or equally you can tick the box for the young person if you are the young person making the appeals paperwork, or an advocate if you have one. It's worth noting that if you do have representation at a SEND tribunal, it's really important that that person is trained in SEND law and that is their area of expertise. So section 8 moves on to the hearing and your needs and requirements for the hearing itself. So question 1 talks about if you have any special needs. If you do, then you tick the yes box and then go on to the box below just here to detail what they are. If you do not have any special needs, then you tick no and you move on to question 2. Question 2 is about an interpreter or a signer that you may need. If you do require this, then you can just again tick the box yes here, and the type of language or interpreter that you need in this box here and the dialect. Again, if you do not, you just tick the box that says no and you move on to the next section. Section 9 talks about paper hearings. So paper hearings are an option if the parent, carer, young person, the local authority and the judge all agree that the evidence is enough to be heard on papers. And what that means is just that. It would be looked at just on the papers, meaning that you do not attend an oral hearing, and the decision is made just on the evidence that both parties have submitted to the tribunal. Like I say, it has to be agreed by all 3 parties, so you can ask for one, but actually if the judge feels that there isn't enough evidence, they may say that they are not happy to hear it on the papers. But if you would like that option and you think your evidence is strong enough to have a paper hearing, then you tick the yes box here. Many parents feel that they would like to be at the hearing so that they can make sure that their views are heard and make sure that all of the points they wish to be covered are covered. So if you would like an oral hearing rather than a paper hearing, you tick no in this box here. Then the next question is that you consent to the final hearing being issued earlier. So if there is an earlier date available, you can tick this box here to say yes, and they will bear that in mind if there is an earlier hearing date that comes available. If for reasons such as childcare or work, you know that if an earlier appointment were to come available, an earlier hearing was to become available, you know that it would be really difficult to rearrange childcare or work, then you can tick the no box here, and just to say that you're not happy for it to be listed earlier if a date becomes available. The last box here is about existing claims and appeals. So is there another current appeal or claim in relation to this child or a sibling that is being dealt with at the moment? And if there is, you tick yes here with the appeal number. If not, go ahead and tick no. So section 10 is a really important section. It's a checklist of the things that must be sent alongside the SEND35 form. If you don't send these things, it's likely that your appeal won't be lodged. So it's really important that when you're ready to send your form off, you make sure all of these things are also with the form. So you need a signed and dated letter from the local authority giving you the right to appeal. That's things like once you get a final plan, if you're unhappy, you then get the right to appeal, or following an annual review, if you get a maintained decision, or after amendments and a final plan, that gives you the right to appeal. So those letters are the ones that you need to attach. A signed and dated mediation certificate, so that's only applicable if you're appealing sections B and or F. If it is a section I only appeal, then it will not be necessary. Your reasons for making the appeal, and they are in section 2 of the appeals form. A copy of the EHCP and the K document, so they're the documents that made up the EHCP, they need to go with it also. And the appeal form itself, signed and dated, which moves us on to section 11, whereby the parent or the young person signs, along with parent 2 if that's applicable, and the representative also if that's applicable. Then just at the bottom here, you just fill in the date. And finally, section 12 is about sending off your appeals paperwork. So once you've completed the appeals form, the SEND35 form, and it's signed, please send it with all the relevant documents that we just covered on the previous slide, along with any evidence, to the email address you can see there, to send@justice.gov.uk, writing in the subject line that it's a new appeal, so with the title of new appeal to ensure it gets dealt with quickly. Equally, you can send it to the postal address below. If you do that, we recommend that it's recorded delivery just so you know when it's arrived, and also please don't send your original copies of evidence. They need to be photocopies. You can fax it to the number below the address there, and if you have any issues or you would like to talk to anyone at the tribunal service, their telephone number is there. It's really important that all of those documents in the appeals form are sent off no later than that 2-month date. So no later than 2 months from the date on the local authority's decision letter, or no later than 1 month following the mediation certificate, whichever one of those is later. But it's a really important thing to remember, it needs to be sent off before that time frame. And this table here, finally, is just a table to write down the documents that you may be sending off with the SEND35 form. So as you can see here, there's an example of 25 pages from a needs assessment that has gone ahead for the child or young person. Here you can list any reports or any evidence that you think is relevant to your appeal, and you can send them alongside the documents that you send with the SEND35 form. Once you've sent off your SEND35 form, via email you will receive a tribunal pack. They're called case directions, and you will receive them within 20 days of sending off your paperwork. This pack includes a really important table of dates, so once you get your case directions, have a really thorough look through, but it's really important that you make note of the dates that are in that table. One of the main dates being your hearing date, but there are some really important dates alongside that that you need to make note of to make sure that you comply with the directions from the tribunal.